Hi and welcome to the SohoLIFF Spotlights. I'm Liz Farahadi and I'm very, very excited because I am joined today by the filmmakers behind the incredible film Keep. Now it's fabulous and I'm really excited to have you here. Would you both be able to introduce yourselves and explain what your role is as well, please, in the film?
Sure, so I'm Lewis Rose, and I'm the writer and director.
And I'm Weyal, and I play one of the lead actors.
Fabulous. And so let's talk about this thing, because this film, I mean, honestly, this just got me. For people watching, would you be able to just give, without spoiling anything, just a little bit of what it's about?
Sure, so it's about a lighthouse keeper who has a lighthouse on the Dover coast that's been turned into a museum, and he's kind of bored with his life there. And he gets an apprentice sort of thrust upon him, which is played by Weyal, and he's a student and he's an Afghan refugee, and they sort of start to form a bond and a friendship, but then not everything is as it seems, and Gordon starts to discover some stuff, and it sort of goes from there.
Yeah.
And this is what I loved about this, because it's like, you know, this is obviously a subject matter that there's so much stuff about, and we have a lot of horrendous right-wing stuff. There's, you know, a lot of films, some great films that have been made, all of that. But no one's done it the way you've done it. It's so original. And like the narrative, it just keeps us guessing the whole way through. You're like, where's this going? Is that what's, you know, it's, I mean, did you set out to do that?
Oh, it's lovely to hear. Yeah, I guess it was sort of a process of, I mean, the idea of it starting as kind of a buddy comedy and then it sort of changing, that was always the intention. And then I guess the other parts of it where it keeps taking different tangents, that sort of came through the script. And then even while we were shooting, I think there were, it sort of kept developing in that way. And we wanted to keep the audience, you know, not knowing what was coming next and keep it dramatic. And especially once we changed from, you know, sort of a slightly lighter tone to more dramatic, you have to kind of keep that momentum going, I think.
Yeah, because I mean, it starts off really funny and you're like kind of, you know, thinking, and then suddenly you're like in this kind of,
big mess.
Yeah, and I mean, Phil Davies, I mean, he's notoriously plays these sort of like ambiguous characters, doesn't he? So I mean, that as well, was that a choice with him?
Yeah, definitely. And I think, you know, he was always the perfect person for that role, because he has that kind of that hard edge, but then there's also a real soft sweetness behind him, which is really what the character needed. So, you know, he was perfect for that. And but yeah, he often plays these characters as well who you never quite know which way they're going to go, which is also what in that part required, I think, to make the audience uncomfortable as well.
Oh, it did. I mean, what was it like working with Phil?
Well, it's actually quite funny because I remember going into the reading room and realising that's the guy I used to watch on TV. I remember him on Sherlock, which was one of my favourite, you know, TV shows, and then see me working with him, it was absolutely crazy. It was surreal.
Yeah.
So honestly, it was amazing, genuinely.
Was it intimidating to work with him, or was he? You know, how was his methods of working?
Well, I learnt a lot from him. I would say. I think it could have been daunting, and it was daunting in a sense, but he was so easygoing, and he helped me a lot on set and behind set. So it was just really great to learn from someone who's been doing this for so long.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, that's lovely to hear that he was like supportive. Like, that's nice actor, good actor.
I mean, I've seen him a few times, you know, outside of it, and it's just nothing but, you know, easygoing and just great, definitely.
I like to hear that. That's good. And I mean, directing him, what was that like? Because obviously he's worked with, I mean, God, was like David Fincher and Mike Lee and all sorts. I mean,
I mean, a little bit intimidating for sure. Phil's just brilliant because he takes in the script, and he often will just nail it on the first take, and then we might do other takes, and then I get into the edit and just see and be like, first one was kind of the best. And he's just got that, you know, the years of training as well as the talent to always be able to capture, you know, and also give different variations, and just really keep track of where that character's going. You know, he's a pro, real pro. It was a privilege.
I mean, it's just like you worked with him brilliantly as well. I mean, the chemistry, it was fabulous. It really was. It was such a lovely relationship.
Yeah, it's really sweet.
I definitely felt it on set, especially during the hug. It's like you were saying, how he gives off this like stern but sincere quality to him, and I definitely felt it throughout set. So it was just, it was really good.
Yeah.
So of course we need to talk about the third character, the lighthouse. Wow, that was such an amazing place to film. I mean, was that a working lighthouse, or were you breaking protocol?
Well, so the lighthouse itself is not. So it is actually a museum, and it's partly from visiting that lighthouse that I sort of got the idea for the film, because it was so amazing, and it was strange that it was set, and it has that very, as in the film, this very British feel with sort of a tea room that's done with all this, you know, very floral, you know, almost like very traditional British feel, and it just felt strange that you have this next to this body of water where people are risking their lives to come to the UK, and there felt something quite powerful in that contrast. So we always really wanted to film there, and it was a challenge because it's a National Trust museum. It's quite a popular place, so both
quite compact as
well.
When filming.
Oh yeah, from a filming perspective, it wasn't easy. The stairwells are very narrow.
Too many times where I've accidentally bumped into the camera or into someone. It's just,
and like if we had to turn around, like, you know, swap around the angles, it takes ages because you just got to get everyone huddled into like down a little corridor. But I mean, in terms of actually turning the light on, you know, talking about the protocols, we had to be really, really careful because because it is a dormant lighthouse, you're not allowed to shoot any light out of it in any significant way. So our amazing cinematography team, our DOP, Emma Langlath and our gaffer, they came up with this amazing system where they rigged a light which they shot. So they had a mirror, and they for the bits where the light was circling, they shot a light into this mirror, and then the mirror would beam round a sort of fake lighthouse beam. So they had that up on the balcony, and then when we were doing the internal bit, they actually we had to black out all the windows. So we had this big curtain that went round the outside, and then we lit the actual bulb, which is still like a working bulb, like a Fresnel bulb that you can put a light in and it burst out. So we had to be quite careful about creating that lighthouse effect without, you know, getting the police on us.
We did get into trouble, didn't we, during it?
We did, yeah.
Oh, we did?
Yeah. There was one point when we actually where the Coast Guard or someone was complaining because the light that we were beaming down, they were saying it was too powerful, but then the guy who ran it from the National Trust was saying it was fine, but there was this little bit of beef going on where we were like, are they gonna pull the shoot? There was a very nervy hour when we were really up against it as well.
Oh, it's nice that they were so supportive.
Yeah, they really were.
Yeah, that's, you know, because you kind of like associate things like National Trust that they'd be like, no, if you do not cross the T or the I.
Yeah, they were really into the film. It was a long process on getting them to come on board. Partly from our, you know, finding the finance from our part, and then it was post-COVID. It was like not that long after COVID, so National Trust weren't doing very many filming licenses other than for features or big TV shows. So we had to talk to them and kind of warm them up for a long time to let them. I mean, the guys from the Lighthouse were always on side and wanted to do it, but they had to persuade the National Trust to let a short film shoot. So that was a process. But the guys from the Lighthouse who ran it were always really into it and wanted to make it work. They were great.
Oh, I mean, it must have been really lovely for them to, you know, see such an important story being put there. And you used a lot of sort of like lightness in it as well. Excuse the pun. But there was like in the script and I don't think on something that's such a deeply heavy topic. You know, was that purposeful? Do you feel that you get the message better that way, or did that just happen?
No, it is something. I mean, a lot of the films that I write tend to work in that way, where a subject that has some kind of social or political significance that I'm interested in or passionate about, but I can't help but I enjoy, personally, I find I usually get more emotionally engaged in something if there is some humour, if there is that bit of dark and light, and I'm more likely to kind of shed a tear in like an episode of The Simpsons or something than something that I feel is like just heavy, because your guard is down, and so I think it's often a good way to explore heavier issues without it necessarily feeling like a polemic, but you can still get across what you want and try and show the human side of it.
Oh, I totally agree. Because there's a real thing as well about laughter does make you more receptive. You can take things in. Sometimes you shut down, don't you? It's like some of those things that are so horrendous, you kind of go, I can't deal with it.
Yeah.
For yourself, how was it with the preparation process? I mean, how did you tap into your character, and what did you use to build that? Because you were so believable.
I really appreciate that. Thank you. I took a lot of my own experiences into it, because there is quite a similar quality in between me and Musa. In fact, there was this one part where I think you were struggling with the intentions of Musa, of why he would want to help, other than the fact that it's his family. And I had to take into my own personal experiences of how I felt being someone that was born in another country and having to deal with people from back home who, look at you and don't think that you're really from here. And when I had mentioned that to Lewis, it suddenly made Musa, his intentions suddenly were there.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of preparation in terms of, dealing with the heaviness of the film. In fact, so much so that I didn't actually even see the lightness of it until I'd actually watched the film and saw, Musa on screen, like with that floating thing. But yeah, no, it was a bit heavy at times.
Yeah.
But I'm just glad that the job was well done.
Oh, wasn't it just? I mean, it's it's amazing. Like, massive congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's very, very exciting. So chuffed to be screening it. I have to ask you as well, because I mean, you've made, was it about 6 films now, short films?
Yeah, or sort of like 3 big shorts, and then a couple of sort of studenty ones. Yeah.
And so, like, obviously you've done the festival circuit a lot. You're well kind of versed with it. What would you say? Why are festivals important, and what do you look for in a festival?
I mean, they're massive for, firstly, for often it's the first, you might have a cast and crew screening, but it's the first time a lot of people will be able to see it with an audience of the public and people who aren't involved in the film, which is so valuable. Obviously, it's a lovely thing, but it's really valuable to kind of learn something about your film. And then to meet other filmmakers and find out about their process is kind of, so much of how you continue to be able to work in film, both like from a mental perspective and practically, is having a network of people. So festivals are often the best way to find other filmmakers, and then just the atmosphere of being in a situation where people love film, the promotion that it gives to your film, the what you can then go out and say that we've screened here. It's so important, especially for independent films and short films. It's massive.
Yeah, no, that's cool. And obviously, what's the best film festival in the whole of the universe?
I wonder which one.
Oh no, we're so pleased to have you here. We really are really looking forward to screening this.
Thank you so much for having the film, and we're so excited about the festival, and this and everything that you're putting on. It's really what filmmakers are looking for. It's going to make a massive difference for us.
Brilliant. And I really hope that this film as well can change some people's perspectives. I mean, do you have sort of like what do you want people to take away from it?
How about you?
Well, for me, it's like living in the digital age. We have this ability now to turn off our empathy when reading headlines and stories, and we tend to forget that there are real people going through this. And I think what the film does so great is it puts real human faces and emotions into the film. And as you see with Gordon, suddenly his empathy turns on and he sees the plight that a lot of people have to go through. So I feel it's just about awareness of these real life situations that people have to go through,
Yeah. Yeah, because it's really human, isn't it? And it's like unassuming, because it's very easy to read a newspaper and just go, oh, well, yeah, oh, I just want jobs over here, yeah, because it's such a great country. It's like, and then actually when you meet somebody and see what's really going on, it changes everything.
Yeah, I think that's a lovely way of putting it, man. I think it's that time people spend together. I'm kind of like, I think I'm a pessimist about like humankind on a grand scale, but on a one-to-one level, I'm an optimist. I think like if people spend enough, actually like, you know, spend time together and in the same room and often forced to be together like they are in this film, you can't help but, you know, find something that you share and see the human, you know. So that's hopefully what people take away.
I don't think you can watch it and not take that away, actually. It's about making sure everyone watches it.
Yeah.
So make sure you come along and see this. It's called Keep, and it is absolutely brilliant, and we'll be screening in January. So make sure you come and see it. Thank you. Thank you so, so much.
Thanks for having us.